Hi, my name is Eddie C, and welcome to My Positive Podcast. I'll bring you positive stories of people from all walks of life, because everyone has a story to tell. Well, hello everybody, and welcome once again to MPP, My Positive Podcast. This is episode 4. Before we get started, I just once again would like to thank everyone who does tune in every week or whenever they get a chance to listen, because the nice thing about a podcast is that you can listen wherever you want, whenever you want. So please subscribe, contact me if you got a very interesting story. Please touch base with me either on Facebook or on the website, MyPositivePodcast-004. Today I've got 3 interesting guests for you, and they all happen to be, in this case, musicians. One is a younger generation guy who's a fantastic session singer and saxophone player, but also a wine connoisseur. I've got also a nice lady on the show who's been in the business for years, making a name in America and then later in Europe, not only as a Broadway star, she's also an actress, and she's also a fantastic jazz singer. And then my third guest is a guy that has played with practically every big name in the music business. So stick around and tune in, and let's get this show on the road. Welcome to My Positive Podcast. My first guest is a talented saxophone player, but a great singer as well. He's done a lot of session work with big names in the studio and on stage. And when the young brother starts to sing solo, people take attention and listen. Please welcome my first guest, Mr. Lo Van Gorp. Hey, Lo, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. Considering the circumstances, I'm doing all right here. Yeah.
Yeah, I miss the times that we work together, man. We always have a lot of fun. But
yeah, when was the last time?
Oh,
I don't
man,
know. I don't remember. It's been years.
Quite a few years, and of course,
I think with Caro.
Right.
I think
with Caro Boulay. Yeah, that was it was a nice band actually that we had at that time, man. Let's get right away into the questions, buddy. You know, my first question to you is, how did you get started as a musician, playing saxophone and singing? And of course, tell us a little bit about your roots, because, you know, you told me in the pre-interview that you did actually did some traveling before you ended up in the Netherlands.
Yeah, true. Yeah, my father used to be a diplomat. So when I was 6 months old, we moved to Moscow. That was 1973, not 74. So it was during Brezhnev and the heat of the Cold War. You could say so. And we lived there for 3 years, and then we moved for a couple of months to Holland and then to Rome. And in 1981, I guess, September, we got back to Holland. And then from that time, I stayed in the city of Leiden. It's near The Hague in Amsterdam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and okay, how did the whole music thing get started? Because
yeah, no idea. Well, my mother used to sing all day. Actually, she does that, and I did that as well. So singing was always been like second nature. Mm-hmm. And when I was 13, I just had a hunch for, hey, I'd like to try and play saxophone, and I'd like to try it. And so I just went to the music school, and my parents were okay with that, and yeah, I really got friends with the saxophone very quickly. So yeah, it really felt familiar already just from the moment I started, actually. So there was a nice sound immediately. So that's kind of special. I don't know, but it was all very intuitive, actually. I've never really thought about it. So that's how it started, and very soon, within a year or so, I was playing in bands. I was 14, and I was playing with guys at school, and they're always older guys. And actually, it's almost it's still that way.
Yeah. I was there once
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah, I know the feeling. I was for many years. I was always the youngest cat on stage, and then now it's as the years have progressed. I'm the oldest one on stage.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll see those days too. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but you've also become quite a prominent session singer. I mean, you worked a lot with doing a lot of session work, and outside of your fantastic solo vocalist as well, and I'm quite admired by a lot of musicians, including me, for talent you have, man. It's a raw talent. It's very special, and unfortunately, the industry right now has got the cap on everything that is very hard as an artist to, let's say, to break through as it was years ago, because it's now a lot about competitions and things like that, and kind of miss the old school rawness, and you actually you have that. And
that's nice to hear.
You have that
from you.
Well, man, I appreciate it, man. I mean, I keep it real, man. You know, as long as you know, man, I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah.
I know another thing that you're very much into. You become more or less a sort of a wine entrepreneur, wine expert, and
I have been. I stopped it too. I have a small wine import company. I tried to build it up, and it was really nice, and I got a lot of experience with it, and I've always been a very wine enthusiast, and so. Just when back in 2008, it was kind of it was not too much work for me, and I thought, well, why don't I give it a shot? And I started importing wine from small wineries in Italy and France, and had a lot of fun with it. And but in the end, I discovered I'm not very good at keeping a shop.
This administrative part, the business part of it? Or?
Also doing a lot of advertisement and trying to get people to buy my stuff and like that. I'm not really into that, actually. I like it to be enthusiastic, and I like it a lot when people get enthusiastic too about it. But I'm not a salesperson. I've never been, actually. Yeah.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, I think that's sort of like kind of a thing a lot of us have as musicians as well. We're we can be very good at our art form, but trying to get it out there and get it promoted. Usually, a lot of times you get a lot of artists, so-called, that don't have the talent but have the business mind. And at the same time, we musicians, artists, we just want to play. That's it.
We just want to play.
You want to play. You want to get your music out there. You want people to hear it, and which is, for me, the best way. I think so as well. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. You got a new album coming out I think in Japan.
Well, my own album, which I've been working on for about 8 years, is already released in Japan, the 17th of March, and I've actually no idea how it's received, but. Anyway, it's a big honor to get my music out there, and as we speak, we're talking about releasing it here in the rest of the world. I'm talking with a nice small record company here in Haarlem, and so I guess within 2 months it will be available here too.
It'll be a worldwide release. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, man! Congratulations on it. I mean, it's actually, I've told you, long overdue, man.
It's long overdue. You're right about it.
Get out there, man. You got a great voice, and people should hear it.
Yeah, it took some time to just really get the things the way I wanted, or that really felt like it is me. And that's now, because when I was 23 or something, there was already a plan of making an album by Ton Dijkman, who just got me with the Marco Borsato band, and he wanted to make a record, but at that time, I really didn't know what to make, or I thought I had to make something that is commercial or something. But in the end, I'm not a commercial person, so I shouldn't be making something I don't feel. So that's why I didn't at that time.
You should feel good about it.
Yeah. It must be.
It's not going to happen as well.
No, it won't work. Or if it works commercially, I think you won't be happy
Right,
with it.
exactly.
So either way, you shouldn't do that, I guess. Well, no. Yeah, I think I had an early lesson in that one when I was about 22 or so, or maybe even later. I think 24. I was invited for a theater tour, and it was really not my type of music. But I had some kind of loyalty towards this guy who organized it, and I thought, well, okay, well, let's just do it for him. And but I really got burned out, actually. Not too heavily, but I really got burned out. And I thought, okay, that was my lesson: never to take a job that really doesn't fit you. So
Yeah, exactly, and especially being a vocalist and where a lot of individuality is combined is very important. You got to really feel good about it, man. I mean, of course, I've been a session guy. I played with so many different people, but I was always able to adapt, and those were different times.
yeah. And I think your role as a percussion player, mainly, I guess, for the session music, is you get more freedom. I think as a session singer, it's always fun to make nice backup vocals. It's always fun to do. So I don't really have problems with singing backgrounds on music that I don't really feel, but because the singing part is with the other people together is always nice to do.
Our theme is always a special word for the week, and this particular theme is about delightful. So, what does delightful mean to you?
Of course, the wine part is obvious, and but of course the music too. So I can remember a moment that I was in the Metropole Orchestra and with Al Jarreau. I didn't sing that song. There were no backing vocals in that song, but I was just on stage between Al and Vince Mendoza, and they played such a beautiful song of Weather Report, a remark you made. I don't know if you know the song, really beautiful song. And Al sung it so beautifully, and I was as if I was in a dream. I was totally, I was crying over there while I was on stage. That was delightful for me. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a remarkable musician. I had the opportunity to work with him as well on the TV show, and such a great guy. He was such. I mean, and and I patterned some of my vocal things behind him. He was always a big idol for me as well. So, really, that's wonderful. Listen, man, I really appreciate you taking the time out to come on my show and share your story. Yeah, man, and sharing your story with the listeners. Once again, man, you're a beautiful soul. I'll never forget the one time we did a gig together, and you sung "Someday We'll All Be Free" from Donny Hathaway. And I remember you could hear a pin fall because the audience was completely captivated by it. So beautiful, my brother.
No, well, thank you. Yeah, and a beautiful song. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Listen, man, you take good care of yourself, and a lot of love out there to you, brother. And hopefully, we'll get a chance to make some music again someday. And
thank you for the invite. Yeah. And Antwerp is not far from Leiden. So and by the way, someday we'll all be free, right? Okay.
All right, buddy.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, my second guest is a very, very dear friend of mine. And she was born in Haarlem.
Not Haarlem, the Netherlands. Haarlem, New York. Don't let them get that mixed up.
As I say, when she makes an entrance, she's here. Please welcome my dear friend, Miss Marjorie Barnes. Hey, Marjorie, how you doing?
Eddie Kernard, the Eddie Kernard.
How you doing? It's been such a long time.
I'm doing really well. All things considered, we're alive. We're here. That's important.
That's true. Well, listen, let's get right into the questions. Can you tell a little bit about your career, how it got started, a little bit about the background, that people tell us, you start with your roots and tell us a little bit about it,
Well, everyone here in Europe knows me as a jazz vocalist, and a few people know me as a theater performer because, of course, I came here originally with Bubbling Brown Sugar as the star of that show. But I was never expecting to be a singer in my life. I wanted to be a great actress. That was my goal at the time. And even before that, I wanted to be a doctor. When I was in college, I turned down a scholarship to go to medical school because I had decided that I needed to be on the stage.
Right.
So I transferred from Cheney State College in Pennsylvania, which is one of the original Black colleges. And I transferred to Howard University, and then I had a minor in theater and education and a major in English. And then I got a scholarship to the Graduate School of the Arts at NYU. So I actually did my master's as an actress in acting in theater. I didn't finish the master's. I was like 7 credits short of the master's. And I went to my teacher, Lloyd Richards, who was the first Black director on Broadway. And I said, well, the Broadway is like 20 blocks from here. I don't want to take this elective course in English literature because I've already done a degree in English. I want to go to Broadway. What do you think I should do? And he said, you should go. You should do what you want to do. And a couple of weeks later, there was a note on the bulletin board that I should come to the American Place Theater on Broadway,
Right.
And audition for a play. And he was actually the director. And so my first Broadway role was a straight acting role directed by the great Lloyd Richards. And I made the front page of the New York Times for doing that role as one of 8 new actors for people to pay attention to in that year. So I really thought I was on my path to becoming, like one of the first Black people to get an Academy Award. But people heard my voice, and everything I auditioned for after that was musicals. I always kept getting the musical offers, and so everything sort of lent itself into this singing career, which is where I'm really supposed to be, because when life keeps pushing you in a certain direction, that's your path. That's where
true.
You're supposed to be. So I was either on Broadway, or I was singing in nightclubs in New York, or I was on tour with a pop group that we had called Community Drive, in which we toured the United States with. And then I did 3 major Broadway shows, and then I auditioned for a replacement to Marilyn McCoo in The Fifth Dimension, which is a very famous pop group in America in the 70s.
Yeah, it was a great group.
So when Marilyn
Let's
McCoo,
Build the Answer. That was a great song.
I had to sing that every day for 2 years. So I auditioned, and out of everyone in the country, they chose me, and I went out to California then as a singer with that group. And I stayed for 2 years. I learned an awful lot, had a lot of fights with Florence LaRue Gordon because she was married to the producer of the group, and he was my manager. So we were in direct conflict. And I was young and very ambitious and a real little bitch. I'm not going to lie. I wanted what I wanted. I wanted to be pushed as the lead vocalist, and Florence had been waiting for her chance for years. And now that Marilyn was gone, it was her turn, and she was making all of the decisions in the bedroom with her husband. And I was bitching because he was supposed to be my manager and promoting my career.
Right.
But anyway, I left the group after 2 years because we had a record war with Diana Ross. She had the record Love Hangover out, and she didn't have it out, but it was on her album, and we put it out as a single.
Okay.
And so there was a big record war between Motown and ABC Records, and they took out big pages in Variety magazine and all that. We lost. The record company folded, and then Mark Gordon, who was our producer, decided to sign with Motown. And before he did, he said, does anybody not agree with this decision? And I said, me. I don't want to do it.
Right.
He said, well, if anybody wants to leave now, you can leave. And I said, yeah, I want to leave because in my mind, there was no way that Motown, after losing a record war with them, that Motown was going to promote this group with two new vocalists in it. We were
Right.
already struggling to establish a new sound of the Fifth Dimension, and I just didn't think Motown was going to get behind us. And I was right, because they never really reached any great heights once they did that. But the 2 years I spent there were fantastic. And in one of those years, 1975, I believe it was, that's the first time I came to Holland with that group as the opening act for Frank Sinatra. And we were at the Concertgebouw. So that was my first experience here in Holland. And of course, we did a small tour with Frank Sinatra. So I got to know him. And well, not well, but, I got to know him. He was actually very kind and taught me a lot. And then the next time I came here was in 1980, I believe, as the star of Bubbling Brown Sugar. I had done that in London. I had replaced the star there, and then came over here to do it in Holland, and then we did a European tour of it. And that's really how I got to Holland. And I think it's because of the repertoire of that song, that show, which was, 1940s big band music, Duke Ellington, Fats Waller, all that kind of stuff. So they associated that kind of repertoire with me, which opened every door to working with all the jazz musicians here in this country. And so I established my career as a vocalist. I did do several different theater productions here. Bubbling Brown Sugar was one. Ain't Misbehavin' is another. The Soul Show was another one. I did a one-woman show called Basic Black with Dr. Fries and his musicians.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great show. You should have been in that show. I don't know why we didn't ask you to do that show, because it wasn't jazz at all. It was all pop music and stuff. So it was really, really great. We did 26 theaters, so it was not a bad tour. And that's how I got here. That's what I was doing, and I was so fortunate to get in with Jerry Van Rooyen and Ruth Jacobs, Pim Jacobs, Louis van Dijk, Lex Jasper, Dr. Fries, Rob Franken. If Rob hadn't died, because for those of you, your listeners who don't know, Rob Franken was the first one to introduce electric piano as a real big deal here in Holland, and he was fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I worked with him. Yeah.
I was singing with that. We had a group, and if he hadn't died, my career might have taken a very different approach, because I'm very much known for traditional jazz. But when I was with Rob, I was really singing more fusion, more electronic type of stuff.
Okay.
So I think I would have taken a much more different path, more of a pop fusion approach, like Flora Purim and Chick Corea type of stuff.
Yeah,
but once he passed, that that changed. That just changed.
Well, let me ask you. You came over finally to Europe. You settled in the Netherlands and made a tremendous name for yourself over here. And
thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody knows Marjorie Barnes here, and you know that. And yeah, and so. Now we've got this whole Corona thing going on, and how has that been for you in this last year? Because I think the whole industry has suffered tremendously.
It's been devastating. Seriously, it's been devastating. Because I had left the country in 2000 to go back to America. I had a death of my older sister, and I went back to take care of my mother, and I stayed for 12 years until she passed. So it meant that my career here came to an abrupt halt. And I didn't sing when I was in America at all. I had to pay my mortgage and take care of my two sons, and for that I taught regular school. So I have a degree in education and a master's degree in education. So I only did that. When I came back, in 2012, I had to start over. And this country, like America, had not recovered from the crash of 2008. So the industry, for those of us in the entertainment industry, we were struggling. And I didn't realize that it was that bad here. and that I would have to literally start over, which meant like doing a gig at a cafe, which I'd never done before, for like 35 euros. And I was so happy to just be singing after 10 years of not singing, that I was doing it because there were good musicians working in the cafes. So there was a new mindset for me, and it took 3 years to establish myself again. And then it took another 5 years just to get my price up to something decent. Right. And just as I had things where I wanted them, because my last gig was on stage with the jazz orchestra of the Concertgebouw, in the Concertgebouw, sold out, doing an Ella Fitzgerald tribute.
Right.
And then we went into lockdown with this.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
So it's been over a year since there's been any op tradings, which means that, you know, the monies that I had been able to build up are gone because everything was going out. Nothing was coming in. So it's pretty dire, but I am trying to be hopeful. If I can make it until things open up again, some kind of way, short of walking the streets in Amsterdam's red light district, then
You're funny.
You know, then I'm hopeful that there will be gigs coming and I can rebound. And I guess everybody is hoping that we can rebound. But this is some serious problems because not only are musicians and singers deeply affected, but the venues that we play have been deeply affected, and some of them are no longer in existence. Right. So this is a real challenge, and it is not the highest priority in the government's list of things to do. Right. Which is a shame because we generate a lot of income.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We absolutely do. Us, along with the Horeca industry, hotels and cafes and restaurants and theaters, we generate a ton of money and taxes for our country, not to mention that people want to be entertained and need to be entertained.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, you know, it's going to take a while for it to come back. You know, one of the reasons why I do this show is to throw out some positivity to everybody who's listening wherever they are in the world and who tunes into this podcast, you know. And I know through all of the problems and stuff that we've been going through, we've all been going through, you know, you have to become a little bit, you have to recreate yourself. A lot is happening, of course, online. Let's say for us older musicians, it's old.
For us what musicians?
I got you on that one.
For us young at heart musicians.
Well, for us young and heart musicians, we have to reinvent ourselves and, you know, doing more with the computers and stuff like that. And that's not easy. Yeah. That's not easy because, you know, we're organic musicians. We're used to taking an instrument, using our voices and going out there and doing the thing, you know, the old, let's say old
we don't know
stuff.
Crap about stuff online. That's the problem with young at heart musicians. We don't know. At least I don't. I don't know. I have to relearn.
Well, listen, I got one more question for you, which is the theme for our show this week. And the word is delightful. So can you tell us what delightful means to you?
Oh, I think eating baklava with a cup of green tea, that's really delightful. Watching a baby with its first smile when it has no teeth and that little sweet, juicy little mouth, that little pink tongue, and it just sort of recognizes you for the first time, that's absolutely delightful. And watching my vocal students, watching my voice students at the Prince Claus Conservatory, when they finally get what their authentic voices are, and accept it, and I can hear it in their song, that's freaking delightful. I love that. It brings tears to my eyes to watch them discover their real voices. That's beautiful to me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know you have an online, you're giving online courses as well.
I'm giving, I just started this because, I got to generate income some kind of way, and I want to keep teaching. I want to pass on what I know, before I'm gone. So I created a Facebook page. I haven't actually done it like on YouTube or a website
Mhm.
because I don't know how yet, but I'm learning.
Yeah,
So
but you got
that's
some
my
friends helping
Facebook
you with that.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Facebook page is called Explore Your Voice Vocal Coaching. And anyone who's listening, you don't have to be in the Den Haag area, which is where I live, to participate because we can do online a face chat, Zoom, or WhatsApp classes together, which I have done with international students. And I'm very open to that. And of course, if anybody's listening and they're in the Ronstadt area and they want to come to my home, I have a large enough place to safely give you one-on-one instructions. And all the information is on that Facebook page, Explore Your Voice Vocal Coaching.
All right. And there you have it. Listen, Marjorie, I want to thank you so much for touching base with me and coming on the show. I'm so proud of what you've done in the years you've been over here with your career. You've been an inspiration
Thank you.
to
But
a
don't
lot of
forget to
us.
tell people we work together. We've recorded together. So it's not just our friendship, but we're colleagues.
Absolutely.
We have made music together.
Absolutely.
So we go back.
We go back. That's true. That's true. That's right. And you know, the wonderful thing is that, you know, you still, like I said, you've got all the experience, and I'm sure the people that come to your page and site, you know, they won't be sorry because they've got a lot of experience. And all you movie producers out there, she can act. So, all righty. Listen, Marjorie.
Thank you so much, Eddie. It's been a real pleasure and joy to see you again. And I think you're doing a wonderful thing, putting out that positive energy. So continued success with your blog and all the things that you're trying to do in a positive way.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Hey, Marjorie, listen, thank you once again, and a lot of love to you.
Thank you, Eddie.
All righty. Ciao. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
My name is Eddie C., and you're listening to My Positive Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my last guest, he's a legend in his own time as a drummer. He used to work together with John Lee on bass. We actually had the opportunity to play on a record together with Chris Beckers. But not only has he worked with people like that, he's worked with George Benson. He's worked with Marcus Miller, Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder, Joe Sample, Chick Corea, you know, Stanley Clark. The list goes on. And just before Corona, he was on tour with Diana Ross. Please welcome my dear friend and rhythm buddy, the one and only Gerry Brown. Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
Man, how you doing, man?
I'm
Great to talk with you. Hello, Holland. Hello, Europe. Yeah, I'm corona free.
All right.
So you can listen. You ain't gonna get nothing. I've been vaccinated. I've been groove vaccinated.
All
My
right.
groove is vaccinated. You know.
I can do it.
Man. You know all those names that you mentioned on there. Man, none of them cats can groove. No, I'm just joking, man. They ain't got no groove, man. And yeah, but yes, I've been blessed to play with, you know.
And that's quite, you know, and that's not even half the list of people I could have mentioned, you know, but really it's fantastic to have you on the show, buddy. And you know, like I said, we worked together many years ago, but we never really got a chance to do anything live.
I was looking forward to, you know, coming over there and seeing you last year because Diana was supposed to play the festival, man. And
right.
Like, I was lining up people and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm gonna be here. No,
we
I
would have
had
definitely hooked up. We would have definitely hooked up. We would have definitely.
But we will.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. We got to definitely do that. We got to make that. That's, you know, playing live together, which is still on my bucket list. So, you know.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
And by the way, man, you know that you know the video of you singing on that television show, man, you were killing, man.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
Man, you were killing.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. How, by the way, because you're originally you're from Philadelphia, right?
Yes.
But now you're living in New York now, or?
Well, close to New York, South Orange, New Jersey, which is like 15 minutes from New York City.
Okay, great. Well, listen, man, let's get right into the questions. Because
cool.
It would, you like I said, you've had a tremendous career. And can you tell us about some of the most memorable moments you've had?
Well, some of the most memorable moments, I would say, I'll just try and make this real short, but I just remember like 4.5, 5 years old and watching a television program where the great drummer who played with Little Richard, Earl Palmer, he was playing on a show.
Oh yeah,
and I saw that, and I guess I was banging on tables and anything, and I just remember, my parents kind of having some conversations, and they said, well, maybe this boy's got some talent, and then they took me to this music center, and this teacher there, he playing like a double stroke roll, and I was able to follow it, and it's like, so a moment like that. When I was 12 years old, finding out that this gangly cello player who was starting to play upright bass.
Right.
It turned out to be Stanley Clark.
Right.
So Stanley and I have known each other since 12, and then in my last year of high school, here comes another bass player and my high school, and he's trying out for the jazz band, and the teacher says, do you know the song "The Love Supreme" by John Coltrane? And this guy said, doom, 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 doom.
Right.
Doom, doom. I said, oh, that was John Lee.
All righty.
So,
okay, that's how you guys got hooked up in high school. Okay, all right.
So I've been very, very blessed to have played with some of the best bass players ever, and it's something that it's like bass and drums. You want to build the foundation to the house?
That's it. You got to have the bass and drums, man. That's right.
Got to have that, man.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's like, well, when the bass and drums is happening, what's that feel like? What does it feel like? It's like I'm looking out there and I say, my job and our job is to put booties and smiles in the aisles.
That's right. That's it. Get them on the floor.
That's my job.
That's right.
Get them on the floor.
That's it. That's it, man. That's it. And but your whole sound and the feel, man, I mean, that, on top of it, bro. On top of it, man.
Well, from listening, beside the obvious, the stuff from Motown, but then, Philly International and all the stuff that was coming out of there. Then my dad was buying like Art Blakey and Miles Davis, and my brother, he was buying, John Coltrane, listening to Elvin and stuff, and then I happened upon Jimi Hendrix, and so there's just been
a beautiful journey, man.
It's been a beautiful journey. Yeah. It's been a beautiful journey, indeed.
Let me ask you a question. We've had this pandemic going on, which is still, slowly starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel, we hope. And we hope, how have you been able to keep your positivity and everything going with the pandemic happening, man, especially, in the, let's say, the last half year,
Well, I would definitely, give thanks to my part of what resonates within me are, some things from Buddhism, just trying to, looking at, whatever situation it is.
Right.
And like, as I said before, trying to make lemonade from lemons.
That's it. Yeah.
And just, and this time in which, everything was shut down, even, here in America, there was hardly any traffic and stuff like that. So, I was reading things and saying, and seeing that, people were saying, like the buzz from the planet,
Right.
it's not buzzing like it is, and it's like, it's beautiful, you could, hearing the birds and seeing that, just kind of looking at things, and it's like, well, this is the time to regroup, and replenish and renew, things around you, renew things within myself, practicing more, which I hadn't done, got back into things in my youth, in my body, start running and walking again. I probably lost maybe about 18 to 20 kilos.
Wow.
No. So
welcome to the club, brother.
Yeah, man. I know some of y'all say, "Oh, he's an old man." Yeah, but I feel like a young man. So.
Hey man, we're all young in spirit. We're all musicians always young in spirit, man.
Hey, they can't see me. I got a little gray. I got a little snow on the roof.
Yeah, well, so so do I.
But I got fire in the oven.
That's it.
Fire in the oven, baby.
Fantastic, man. Oh wow, yeah, that's great. And I wanted to ask you again. So, we were talking about the pandemic thing, and have you been doing? You do anything online, or did you, or basically just sitting it out until times get better?
Well, I'm kind of sitting it out, but there's a thing that I've been working on with a partner from California, and a situation of a venue in New York, and it's called the Manhattan Center.
Okay.
And my partner and myself, we now have a joint venture with Manhattan Center. They're putting on like live streaming events, and we'll probably be doing some, not only live streaming, but different things for artists in which they can come in and doing like there are five. The thing about Manhattan Center, it's like an arc in which
Right.
there are 2 ballrooms, there are 2 recording studios, and there are 2 TV studios. So we're lining up sponsors and that whole business thing to eventually, hopefully in the next couple of months, start producing events. So,
oh wow,
just in case, if anybody wants to check it out, if you look at mc34.com and Manhattan Center Live.com. So,
well, yeah. If you see me, make sure I get the link, and I'll post it in our on the website, and with the information, man. Oh, this is so cool, man. We've been talking about beating each other for so many years, and nothing.
I know.
I mean, it's like every time something happened, But now, okay, we at least had we've had a chance now to see each other via Zoom. That's the nice thing about the modern day technology. But it's not what it's not. There's nothing like the real thing, as we say, man.
That's right.
Nothing like the real thing. I got one more question for you. And our theme for this particular week is about delightful. So, what does delightful mean to you?
Delightful means like playful from when I was like a child to now. The ability to laugh, the ability to smile, the ability to make people happy. being happy with someone, even with a mask on, but if you can smile and they can see your eyes and they kind of get that you're smiling,
right.
That's delightful. Mm-hmm. Despite having that mask, man, just seeing little kids, interacting with kids, there's enough heaviness that's going on in the world. So it's like, make that little extra effort, of being delightful and charming and nice. And it costs you nothing. It's inexpensive.
That's true. That's true.
That doesn't cost you anything to do that.
That's true. That's true, man. Well, listen, Gerry, it's been wonderful to have you on the show.
It's been wonderful.
I'm glad we finally got to touch base, man. And I
gotta say this, and I want to say this, and I want this on your program. Somehow, when I get back over to Holland, even if it's at the end of a Diana Ross tour or something like that, I want to get together with you. I want to play your music. I want to stir that groove.
Absolutely, we're gonna definitely do that. That's a promise. That's a promise. That's a promise on both sides, brother. Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Man. Cool, man.
So I'm going, man, like I said, thanks again, man. A lot of love to you, man. You've been an inspiration to so many drummers, not only I know in the States, but over here as well. And like I said, it's fantastic to have you on. It's an honor and fantastic to have you on my show, man. It's really a pleasure.
An honor to be on your show, man. Done. Wonderful, beautiful. And to all, the people who are listening, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy.
That's it.
No matter how it may look. Try and stay in that happiness. Delightful.
Love you, bro.
Much love, man. Much love.
All right, buddy.
Peace.
This is My Positive Podcast with Eddie C.
Well, that's almost it for this week. I hope you enjoyed listening to my guests as much as I had fun interviewing them. As you know, each week I choose a theme which is based on something which is positive. And this week's theme, of course, is delightful. So here's my quote. Delightful. Music, food, and a good glass of wine. Watching a baby smile for the first time and seeing its surroundings. Looking at the young students discover the sound of their voices. A moment on stage when a spontaneous connection brings tears of joy. The warm, sweet harmony of birds in the morning. That feeling of glancing back at a long, beautiful journey. And the delightful feeling of living to enjoy the gift of another day. Well, that's it for this week's show. But before I go, I'd like to thank Lo Van Gorp, Marjorie Barnes, and Gerry Brown for being my guests on the show this week. And remember, music is the universal language, but it takes musicians to spread the word. You can find me on all platforms like Spotify, Android, and Apple. On Facebook, look for My Positive Podcast, and my website is MyPositivePodcast.com. You can also contact me via my website or Facebook. A very special thanks to my technical producer, Iswan. This show is a production by Antwerp Podcast Service. My name is Eddie C., and this was MPP, My Positive Podcast. Tune in next week and stay positive.